Unbelievable bully attack, discover the amazing story of Vin Diesel's hidden adopted daughter. Mia Ramirez walked into Willow Creek High, a sweet-scented wave of anxiety washing over her as laughter bubbled in the air. Her determination to become an engineer felt like a dream floating far from reality. She was not like the other girls. With her thick glasses and love for tinkering with gadgets, she often felt like an alien in a world where popularity equated to worth. But nothing prepared her for the taunts that landed like heavy bricks in her chest. "Look, it's the nurse's pet project." A voice blared from the clique led by Bella Chen, the politician's daughter. The mocking laughter sent a jolt of dread through Mia. Bella was notorious for shaming anyone who dared to be different. Each insult pierced deeper than the last, twisting her insides with shame. She was the adopted daughter of a single mother, her family safe in their cozy home, but it felt like a prison when the whispers of the hallways smothered her spirit. Mia clenched her fists, heart racing as she struggled to suppress tears. What was wrong with wanting to build bridges instead of breaking them? She had long fought against feeling like an outsider, battling the societal labels and class differences. But now, her facade was crumbling, the whispers snaked around her like a noose, tightening with every class she attended. Before she could muster the courage to confront Bella and her friends, the shrill bell rang, signaling the start of math class. Sitting in the back corner, she tried to focus on equations, but her mind raced with doubt. What if her mother was right about family values? What if acceptance came from conforming, from hiding her truth? As the day dragged on, Mia's thoughts drifted home. That evening, driven by a mix of desperation and the hope for solace, she confided in her mother about the emotional turmoil she faced daily. "Mia, remember," her mother said gently, "family is not just blood, it's who you choose to share your heart with." Those words were comforting, but they did little to lift the weight pressing down on Mia. Then, rummaging through a box of old family albums for a distraction, she stumbled across a tattered photo. Her heart raced as she recognized the face Vin Diesel, the Hollywood star her friends idolized. The back of the photo read, "To my #1 fan, love always. Dad." A torrent of emotions washed over Mia: shock, excitement, dread. Could it be true? This new revelation twisted her every thought. Should she flaunt her connection to fame, or should she shield herself from further ridicule? The flicker of hope handed her a choice that felt impossibly weighty. With newfound determination, she decided that she would not use her lineage as armor against the ridicule. Instead, she would gather stories from her classmates to unveil the unspoken realities of bullying. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As her anti-bullying campaign began to form, Mia felt the pressure mounting. Sharing her truth felt like stepping to the edge of a cliff. In the days leading up to the school assembly, Mia's anxiety morphed into a relentless echo in her mind. What would everyone think? What if they mocked her even more? The hall loomed before her, saturated in judgmental whispers. The moment finally arrived as she was called to the stage, pausing, the weight of her decision filling her chest like a stone. Would she reveal her adoption and her connection to Vin Diesel and risk being branded a fame seeker? Or would she stand alone, forging her identity amid the chaos of uncertainty? The faces in the audience blended into a blur as her heart beat like a war drum, each beat broadcasting her fears, her hopes, and the ultimate question of who she really was. Mia stood at the edge of the stage, frozen in time. The glaring lights bounced off her glasses, heightening her already racing heart. Silence wrapped around her like a thick fog, and she could feel the weight of each gaze probing her soul, excavating her vulnerabilities. Uncertainty enveloped her, a familiar feeling, but something had shifted. There was an emboldened whisper rippling through her veins, urging her to unveil her truth, taking a deep breath, she gripped the podium, her palms clammy and trembling. The force of her resolve pressed against her chest, battling the anxiety that threatened to choke her words. I am not just an outsider. I am more than their expectations. With that thought, she pushed past her fear. Hey everyone, I'm Mia, she started, her voice quivering but rising steadily. I'm here today not just to talk about bullying, but to share my story. A murmur swept through the audience, a blend of curiosity and skepticism. She noticed Bella's eyes narrow, a glint of mischief lurking there, ready to pounce at any sign of weakness. Ignoring her instinct to shrink back, Mia pressed on. Many of you know me as the girl who's always tinkering in the engineering lab. But what you don't know is that I've been struggling with feelings of isolation and ridicule for a long time. I was adopted, and sometimes the whispers in the hallway make me question my place. The room shifted in intensity. Some students wore puzzled expressions while others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Mia's heart raced. Did they understand? Or were they merely waiting for the punchline in her story? Growing up, I learned that family is defined not only by blood ties but by love and support. My mother always encouraged me to embrace who I am, even as I stand before those who might mock me for being different. She looked at Bella, determination hardening her resolve. And my connection to Vin Diesel doesn't change that. As the name hung in the air, incredulous whispers rippled through the crowd. Each curious gaze felt like an electric jolt, awakening in her something powerful. Mia transformed her story into a call for authenticity. I refuse to hide behind that name, instead, I want to elevate voices that are often silenced by bullying. Don't let anyone define your worth. The audience shifted again, some leaned in, captivated by the raw truth spilling from Mia's lips. The trepidation that had engulfed her began to lift, replaced with clarity. In this moment, she was not just an adopted girl or a target. She was Mia, an advocate, a dreamer, a builder. One by one, faces in the crowd softened. There were nods, hesitant smiles, as students began to connect with her vulnerability. In the back, she noticed a few familiar faces from the engineering club. She wasn't alone in the battle for acceptance. Each one had their story, and that recognition sparked a crucial realization within her. This was the arena for change, and she could be at the forefront. The bell tolled, signaling the end of the assembly. As her heart steadied, Mia felt the exhilaration of authenticity coursing through her. With newfound strength, she stepped off the stage, weaving through her classmates who had, albeit reluctantly, begun to re-examine their perceptions. The moment was a pivot, a shift from victimhood to resilience. Later that evening, Mia sat with her mother reflecting on the day's unfolding. You were brave today, her mother said, pride lighting her features. But remember, this is just the beginning. The enormity of that statement settled in Mia's mind. There were plans to create a supportive environment, to channel her experiences into building bridges rather than walls. But beneath the surge of optimism, a lingering apprehension nestled in her heart. Would she really be able to sustain the momentum? The echoes of laughter still haunted her, remnants of her fears, whispering that judgment never ceases. Determined, she grabbed her laptop, sketching out ideas for an anti-bullying initiative. A program centered not just on awareness, but on community engagement. What if? Instead of hiding her connection to Vin, she used it to amplify the campaign's reach? But would others support her, or would they see it merely as a gimmick? The questions loomed like shadows in her mind, urging her to take action. The campaign awaited, and with every keystroke, she felt the tug of destiny intertwine with her identity. Tomorrow, she would confront her fears again, but this time, with the intent to truly engage her world. Mia was just beginning to discover the power her story held in the hands of others. What would she ask of herself next? How far could she push the boundaries of her identity in the face of relentless uncertainty? The next morning, Mia awoke with a determination that crackled in the air around her. Her sleep had been restless, her mind a whirlwind of possibilities and fears, but the initial jitters had transformed overnight into an urgent drive. She envisioned a project that would not only empower her but would also pull in her classmates. Each idea danced in her head, demanding articulation and action. Her first class was physics, a topic she loved but sometimes felt overshadowed by her self-doubt. However, this time she felt different. As she entered the classroom, she decided to approach her teacher, Mr. Thompson, before the bell rang. He had always encouraged her to think beyond the textbook, to innovate, and to embrace her passions. "Mr. Thompson," she called, her voice steady despite the flutter in her stomach. He raised an eyebrow, curious. "I want to start an initiative about bullying, combining engineering and social awareness. Can you help me brainstorm some ideas for a project?" "Absolutely, Mia," he replied, a smile breaking across his face. "Your voice is vital, and I'd love to help you channel that into something impactful. Let us meet after school to hash out some concepts." A wave of gratitude washed over her, his support amplifying her belief in the significance of her actions. She took her seat, feeling the familiar rush of possibility that arose whenever she engaged with the material. The lesson that day was about forces, unseen influences acting upon physical bodies. The metaphor felt potent. Just as physics worked in unseen ways, so too did the dynamics of her school environment. As lunch rolled around, Mia gathered her friends from the engineering club around a table. Excited chatter filled the air, and she felt a surge of warmth as she shared her idea for the campaign. She outlined her vision: a platform where students could anonymously share stories about their experiences, fostering empathy and mutual understanding. To make it engaging, they could even design an interactive engineering project that embodied the spirit of unity. But what if people don't take it seriously? Daniel, one of her classmates, asked, his brow furrowed. Mia hesitated for a moment, the shadow of doubt creeping in. "I think if we can connect it to real projects and tangible results, they'll see it's more than just a concept. We need to demonstrate the impact." Her voice trembled slightly, but the energy in the room shifted as heads nodded in agreement. They began to share their ideas, brainstorming potential designs. With every suggestion, Mia felt her confidence swell, spurring her to push the boundaries she had previously observed in silence. Later in the afternoon, as they gathered for their meeting with Mr. Thompson, Mia felt the tingling of anticipation. But just as they entered the classroom, her heart sank when she caught sight of Bella sitting with a few classmates, their laughter unnervingly loud. It echoed through the hall and sent a ripple of tension through her stomach. They were clearly discussing her, and she felt a familiar sense of vulnerability creeping back. "Don't let them get to you," one of her friends whispered, sensing her shift. Taking a deep breath, Mia remembered her pledge to rise above the cynicism. She had a mission now, one that couldn't be derailed by fleeting mockery. They presented their ideas to Mr. Thompson, who was impressed and encouraged them to create a prototype of their project. He emphasized the importance of goal setting, reinforcing the notion that small actions could lead to significant change. As Mia left the classroom that day, her heart thudded with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. This was more than a school project, it was her stepping into her own. But as she swung open the door to the hallway, Bella's voice trailed behind her. "What a joke, using the family name for a cheap ploy," she sneered, just loud enough for Mia to hear. The taunt ignited a fire within Mia. It would be easy to crumble again under the pressure of judgment, but she refused to let their cruelty dictate her worth. Instead, it motivated her to escalate her campaign efforts. How much impact could she create, not just to prove them wrong, but to foster an environment of acceptance? With a steady heart, Mia began to envision not only her initiative, but the resilience that awaited her as it grew. Each step forward could forge new connections, but the risks would demand a different kind of bravery. As she contemplated the road ahead, she wondered, what sacrifices would she need to make for the sake of vulnerability and honesty? It became apparent that her journey was only just beginning, and she could feel the stakes rising higher than ever before. Would she find the strength to confront Bella and her insecurities head-on, or was confronting her own evolving identity the greater challenge to navigate? Mia arrived home that afternoon, her mind still racing with excitement and anxiety. The adrenaline from her conversation with Mr. Thompson buzzed through her, but it was tangled with the ever-present worries about Bella's cruel words. She paced her bedroom, running her fingers across the engineering textbooks that lined her shelf, the spine of each one echoing the lessons she had yet to harness. She needed a plan. Not just a plan for her project but for herself, for confronting the growing shadow Bella cast over her ambitions. The thought of Bella and her mean-spirited remarks sent a jolt of irritability through her. Mia grabbed a notebook, flipped to a blank page, and began to write down the dual objectives she needed to tackle: an engaging project proposal that resonated with her peers and the fierce need to shield her self-worth from Bella's attacks. Step 1, Mia murmured, pen in hand, outline the project details. She jotted down key ideas: the website for anonymous stories, interactive aspects that would make it fun, and maybe even a showcase event where peers could present their thoughts. The more she wrote, the clearer her vision became. What originally felt abstract grew into something concrete, something she could replicate in reality. Step 2, she continued, her confidence thickening with each syllable: overcome the negativity. Slapping the notebook shut, she steeled her resolve. It wouldn't be enough to just ignore Bella. She needed to shift the narrative around her, create an aura of resilience that silenced the whispers of skepticism. By the time dinner rolled around, Mia had formed a rough outline of her project in her mind, with actionable steps laid out on the paper. Sure, there were still uncertainties like how to attract participation and navigate potential backlash, but at that moment, clarity ruled. Her father's voice broke through her thoughts. "Any big plans for school tomorrow?" he asked, his gaze piercing through the usual teenage haze. In that moment, Mia felt a rush of pride. "Actually, yes. I'm launching a project about bullying that combines engineering with empathy and social awareness," she replied, the words flowing with newfound assurance. "Sounds impressive. How can I help?" he asked, a hint of eagerness dancing in his eyes. After dinner, Mia shared her ideas with her parents, who offered insights and encouragement that made her heart swell. Each supportive comment fueled her resolve. They were her first audience, and their feedback only strengthened her ambition. It was more than just a project now, it was a cause she believed in. The next day, she prepared for the meeting with her friends from the engineering club. She meticulously aligned the elements of her prototype in her mind: the logic sequences, design elements, and social effects. Each step would contribute to a larger picture, a safe haven for students to share their stories. But just as she felt her confidence peak, doubt clawed at her. What if I can't make this happen? The thought was invasive, but she wrestled it down, reminding herself of their earlier discussions about tangible impacts. The impact she wanted to create. When she entered the engineers' club room, the buzz of conversations filled her ears. Mia spotted Daniel, Jenna, and a few other classmates discussing the early drafts of their designs. She straightened her posture, prepared to command the room. "What if we plan a prototype presentation this Friday?" she suggested, voice loud enough to interrupt. "We can gather feedback, iterate, and build momentum for our project." Heads turned. Conversations paused. "And," she added, grounding her voice with conviction, "this gives us a chance to face any naysayers head-on. We've got real work to show, work that matters." As her words hung in the air, she felt an exhilarating mix of fear and thrill. For the first time, she was not just an observer in the conversation, she was taking ownership. But then, as if summoned by her insecurities, Bella's figure loomed at the doorway, flanked by her entourage. The laughter and harsh whispers cut through the air, stopping Mia's heart momentarily. "Look at her, trying to lead the losers," Bella called out, her voice a poison that dripped between Mia's confidence and doubt. Mia's mouth went dry, but her conviction wouldn't shatter that easily. She inhaled deeply. The moment for her response was at hand. Would this be the day she would challenge the narrative Bella had spun around her? Or would she fold back into self-doubt like yet another whisper lost to unhealthy comparison? The stakes were rising once more, pulling her towards a moment that could redefine everything. Mia's heart raced, a tempest of emotions battling within her. This was no longer just about a project, this was a defining moment of her self-worth, a battle against the clutches of Bella's ridicule. The room felt suffocating as numerous eyes shifted from her to the brazen figure at the door. Gathering her resolve, Mia straightened further, drawing from the steadfastness she had cultivated over the past few days. "I'm not leading anyone, Bella," she countered, her voice steady but firm. "I'm bringing together ideas that matter. You should try it sometime." A hush fell over the room, surprise painted on some faces, while others betrayed expressions of concern. Bella's lip curled, taken aback momentarily. It felt like a fracture in the carefully crafted facade of the bullying that ordinarily surrounded her. Mia pressed on. "There's enough space for everyone to share their voices, and trust me, you might even learn something." The words tasted different on her tongue, like empowerment. "Cute comeback, Mia," Bella sneered, but Mia sensed a shift, the specter of vulnerability flickered in Bella's eyes. "But we both know this project of yours is a joke in the making. No one cares." Before Mia could respond, Daniel stepped in. "Actually, we do care. We're engineering students, and this is about more than just academic credit, it's about communicating experiences that matter." His backing felt like a shield of courage against Bella's verbal daggers. Mia's heart swelled. Together, they stood strong against the tide of doubt. This was the camaraderie she had hoped to cultivate. After the confrontation, the initial awkwardness was replaced with lively discussions. Mia watched as her peers rallied around her idea, offering insights that brought her vision into sharper focus. They dissected her plans for an interactive design, brainstorming the technical aspects of the website while layering in the human element that made the project resonate so deeply. With each new suggestion, Mia's confidence swelled. She felt a palpable shift. Her project was on track to becoming something real. Yet, as her aspirations took flight, a lingering worry seeped in. Would Bella cook up more venomous retorts, or was this the end of their war of words? The uncertainty tugged at the edges of her well-earned empowerment. That evening, she returned home with ideas swirling in her mind, the thrill of newfound purpose igniting her passion for engineering. Her parents noticed the change. "You look different," her mother remarked, tilting her head with concern but pride intertwined. "I stood up to Bella today," Mia disclosed, a shy smile creeping onto her lips. Yet, as she shared the story, she felt a pang of worry creeping back. Was this confrontation enough? Had she truly silenced the detractor? As the week progressed, anticipation for the prototype presentation morphed into something electric. Each thought-driven conversation with her friends cultivated an atmosphere of collaboration. She felt less alone and increasingly supported. But beneath the surface lay the growing uncertainty about how long this relief could last. Would Bella truly let it go? On the eve of the presentation, sleep eluded her as she replayed every moment leading to this pinnacle. The weight of expectations loomed hefty. Would her peers truly connect with her vision, or would it all crumble under scrutiny? She paced her room in the night, words of her project swirling undefined patterns in her mind. The thought sparked an idea: what if Bella made an appearance at the presentation? Could her nagging negativity somehow find a way to infiltrate this moment of triumph? The morning light broke, fading shadows into a hopeful radiance, but internally, a storm brewed. Mia took a deep breath, ready to visualize what could be, to harness that energy into something powerful, a moment that could set her on an unyielding path of growth or plunge her back into doubt. Perhaps this was not just about confronting Bella, it was about transcending all her past fears and beliefs about herself. As she prepared to share her vision, she stood uncertain yet resolute at the precipice of challenge and opportunity, ready to either flourish or falter. Would she rise above or remain entangled in the unease? Only the presentation would reveal the truth. As Mia stepped into the presentation room, the atmosphere crackled with anticipation. The sleek, minimalist space bore faint signs of her hard work. Her posters decorated the walls, charts and diagrams arranged methodically, reflecting the meticulous thought she had invested. Yet, with each passing moment, a sense of dread tickled the edges of her excitement. What if it all came crashing down? She took a deep breath and anchored herself, seeking that well of determination she had tapped into during her confrontation with Bella. The supportive nods from her friends Daniel, Lila, and the others were like lifebuoys in a turbulent sea. They believed in her vision, and she could not afford to let doubt twist it into something unrecognizable. As the presentation commenced, Mia introduced her project with a blend of enthusiasm and clarity. Her voice, once timid, now resonated with conviction. She articulated the mission behind her project, a platform designed to connect engineering students through shared experiences and collaborative learning. Each slide unveiled layers of technology interwoven with emotional connectivity, a narrative she had carefully crafted to appeal to her audience both logically and emotionally, but almost immediately, just as her confidence began to soar, the doors swung open. Bella strode in, deliberately, as if she owned the space. The collective intake of breath from her classmates heightened the tension. Mia's heart raced anew, dread mixing with a fierce resolve. She could not afford to let Bella's shadows loom over her moment of triumph. "Thought you'd make a splash without me, huh?" Bella leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, a smirk plastered on her face. "Let us see how many people you can impress with this little charade." Mia's stomach nodded, but she quickly pushed past the icy fingers of intimidation. "This isn't about impressing anyone, Bella. It's about creating connections that matter," she said, words spearheaded by an unexpected clarity, teetering between anxiety and steadfastness. Mia continued her presentation. She explained user interactions and system feedback loops, captivating her classmates with her genuine passion and knowledge. Midway through, she glanced toward Bella, whose expression shifted from smugness to simmering annoyance. That surge of satisfaction was small, but it fueled Mia further. Here was her chance not just to showcase her project but to assert herself against a detractor who had shadowed her growth for too long. As she wrapped up her presentation, Mia invited questions, feeling a surge of confidence from the discussion that sprung forth. Her peers poured in with real inquiries and genuine interest. Encouraged by their engagement, Mia illuminated the deeper implications of her project, how fostering student collaboration could dismantle the same egocentric territories that Bella thrived in. When Bella finally interjected with a question laced with skepticism, Mia felt a pulse of adrenaline rush through her. "So, are you really suggesting we connect through this?" "Sounds overly optimistic for a bunch of engineers," Bella challenged. "Optimism isn't a weakness, Bella," Mia responded, her voice steadier than ever. "It's an opportunity. Just because you see barriers doesn't mean they exist. This project could bridge gaps, foster understanding, and reveal solutions we haven't even considered yet." The room was electric, the support from her peers palpable. Despite Bella's intimidation, Mia marked this as a pivotal moment, not strictly for the project, but within herself. The doubts that had plagued her capabilities seemed to dissipate under the shining spotlight of collective curiosity and encouragement. As she took a step back, feeling the weight of the room's energy, Mia recognized something transformative within her. She was not just an engineer in a room full of skepticism anymore. She was a leader capable of carving her own space, igniting discussions that mattered, challenging not only Bella but the very way she had viewed her role in this world. In that moment, she decided that whatever Bella had to say about her project paled in comparison to what she had learned about herself. This was not the end of her confrontation but the beginning of something more significant. Mia turned to her classmates, feeling a wave of gratitude. Their willingness to engage amidst uncertainty fueled her sense of belonging. But as the presentation concluded and applause enveloped her, she caught Bella's eye settled in her discontent. Still plotting from the sidelines, was her triumph truly sealed, or was Bella merely regrouping, readying for a more calculated strike? Mia's heart raced again, but this time it hummed with excitement, a thrill of future possibilities, and the underlying knowledge that the true battle within had just begun. What would Bella do next? Mia left the presentation room, a whirlwind of exhilaration coursing through her. The applause still echoed in her ears as she navigated the hallways, her friends buzzing with excitement and pride. Lila clasped Mia's shoulder, beaming. "You were incredible. You took on Bella like a pro." The surge of camaraderie fed her confidence, yet doubts lingered, fueled by Bella's stoic presence. Mia could almost perceive the shift in the atmosphere when she mentioned her project. It felt electric, charged with a mix of admiration and competition. Still, beneath that buoyancy lay a gnawing question: what did Bella intend to do next? their paths crossed again as Mia entered the library for her next phase of work on the project. She needed to refine her proposal, pulling together feedback and suggestions from her peers. The familiarity of books and buzzing energy of study groups were calming, a refuge from the chaos briefly unleashed. But the warmth faded quickly when she spotted Bella perched in the corner, scrolling through her phone, her demeanor cold. Mia hesitated but took a deep breath, reminding herself of the clarity she had earned. Why should she retreat? Bella was just another challenge, a hurdle she could overcome, and Mia was not the same insecure student who had hesitated in her shadow before. Deciding to face the situation directly, Mia approached Bella, each step a fight against her rising anxiety. I know you have a lot of thoughts about my project, Mia began, her voice firm. But I'm here to learn from any critiques you have. Bella smirked, the glimmer in her eye suggesting conspiracy. Learn? I'm not sure that's the right word. I prefer to help you understand the reality. Bella leaned in closer, lowering her voice. It's cute that you think you can just create a space for everyone and ignore the competitive nature of our field. Mia felt irritation flare but reminded herself of her recent triumphs. I'm not ignoring it. I'm inviting a different narrative. Collaboration doesn't challenge our capabilities, it enhances them. Besides, didn't you say this was a charade yesterday? Seems like you're more interested in addressing your insecurities than challenging my vision. For a fleeting moment, she registered a flicker of shock on Bella's face, the realization that Mia wasn't backing down. It emboldened her further, igniting a latent fire within. But Bella was going to make it easy. Oh, how naive you are, Bella said, her tone dripping with condescension. Students are not going to rally around some wishy-washy idea just because you put on a show. They don't want to connect, they want to compete. This is engineering, not a support group. Mia paused, unclenching her fists. Self-control had become essential. Then maybe it's time to change how we see the field. Engineering should be about innovation and collaboration, not just who can program the fastest or design the most elaborate systems. She felt steady, rooted in her belief. The irony washed over her. She was diving deep into a conflict that mirrored the struggle she aimed to dismantle. How could she fear Bella when she had just established this new version of herself? Bella's eyes narrowed, a slow smile creeping onto her face. You really think you can pivot the course of this entire program with your little platform? You'll find people will always prefer the status quo over a utopian dream. Mia realized that Bella's antagonistic shadows would persist until she demonstrated unwavering proof in her vision. Surely a new challenge had emerged, one entwined with her ambition but steeped in confrontation, a test of her resolve. With newfound clarity, Mia stood her ground. This wasn't merely about her project spilling out ideas, it was about carving out her rightful place in this space. She wasn't just defending an idea, she was staking her claim in her own narrative. Whether you believe in this or not, Bella, I know my worth. And this platform? It's going to change minds, and I'm sure many will embrace that opportunity, she declared, an edge in her voice that surprised even her. Mia turned on her heel, walking away with purpose, but one thing hovered: was Bella's disdain a sign of vulnerability, or would it morph into a sustained pursuit of sabotage? Only time would reveal the depths of their rivalry. As Mia exited the library, she resolved to deepen the foundation of her project, utilizing critiques not only to settle scores but to show Bella the true potential of collaboration. Would her vision endure the oncoming storm Bella was certain to provoke, or would it shatter under the weight of relentless challenges ahead? The weight of her words lingered in air as Mia left the library, her pulse quickening with a mix of anticipation and dread. She was standing at a precipice, not just of her project, but of her identity. The confrontation with Bella had pushed her into a new realm of self-awareness, revealing the layers of her determination that she hadn't fully recognized until now. Surprisingly, she felt less peril and more resolve with each step that took her further away from the walls of that library. Mia's initial exhilaration had faded, replaced by a steely focus to enhance her project. She needed to take a cold, hard look at the insights she'd gathered and emerge stronger. Sitting down at her desk, she began to sift through the feedback from her peers. Their suggestions felt like pieces of a puzzle, and as she assembled them, a clearer picture began to emerge not just for her project but of her own capacity for change-making. Flipping through pages of notes, she found a recurring theme: her emphasis on community engagement. It was something that had resonated with her friends and classmates, sparking their interest. Though Bella's cynicism echoed in her mind, Mia clung to the belief that creating a foundation of collaboration was not merely idealistic but essential in a field where innovation thrived on diverse perspectives. Analysis of her previous projects became an unexpected turning point. There had been instances of impressive outcomes and flops alike, but through each, she had learned valuable lessons about teamwork and communication. Perhaps now, she could weave those lessons into her current project, highlighting the necessity of collaboration in engineering. Suddenly, an idea sparked. What if she hosted a workshop, a valley where peers could exchange thoughts on her platform? It could cast her project into the spotlight and validate her vision against Bella's skepticism. But the thought of declaring it to her fellow students sparked both excitement and fear. What if no one showed up? What if it was an unmitigated disaster? In moments of contemplation, doubt flickered like a candle in the wind, but Mia pushed back. She needed this bold move to cement her identity as a leader. A visualization formed in her mind, a room filled with eager faces ready to participate, voices chiming in unison to reshape their narrative. Would that dream morph into reality? Determined to put her plan into action, she fashioned an outline for the workshop, melding interactive group activities with discussions designed to pry open dialogue around collaboration. A good leader adapts and evolves, she reminded herself. The stakes were high, but success meant more than just validating her position. It could pave the way for others to step beyond competition into camaraderie. However, the specter of Bella's derision loomed large. What if Bella and others attended merely to scrutinize? The possibility gnawed at her, but then she remembered Bella's earlier words: ever misguided, Mia would no longer allow them to sow seeds of self-doubt. Committing fully to her workshop plan, she resolved to prepare not only the content but her emotional resilience as well. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Mia worked late into the night, past exhaustion. She felt invigorated, exhilarated by the possibilities ahead, drawing intricate diagrams, crafting concise explanations, and even rehearsing her pitches aloud. Every step, every placement of text and graphic propelled her closer to the metamorphosis of her vision into action. Days slipped by, each one illuminated by a sense of urgency and purpose. As the workshop date approached, promotional flyers became her battle banners, plastered across campus. But each time she walked by them, Mia felt unprepared, an uninvited sense of hesitation creeping back in. Then, a sharp reminder came, Bella's eyes narrowing as she calculated every move. This workshop was not merely about sharing ideas, it was about claiming her space, manifesting her vision, and laying herself bare in front of peers who might rise or fall with her. The countdown clock ticked steadily, echoing in Mia's mind with an electric thrum that quickened her pulse. Would the workshop solidify the changes she envisioned? Would it resonate with others, transforming skepticism into collaboration? But as doubts loomed, a burgeoning fire prompted her forward. The time to face Bella and the narrative head-on was upon her. Mia could either be defined by doubt or emboldened by her convictions. As the morning sun rose on the day of her workshop, she felt the pulse of her vision align with the rhythm of her determination, but as she stepped onto the stage, the face of Bella loomed larger than life in the back of the room. Mia's heart raced. Could she maintain her composure in the swell of scrutiny that lay ahead? And more importantly, would her vision survive the confrontation unfolding just before her eyes? Mia inhaled deeply, preparing to redefine her moment with courage. This was her stage now, and the story was only beginning. Mia's breaths quickened as she took her place at the front of the room, the lights bathing her in a warm glow, but her focus zeroed in on Bella, who sat at the back. The rest of her audience, a mix of curious classmates and skeptical peers, seemed to blur into a watercolor of expectations and judgments. This was at the moment where she either transformed the narrative or let doubt reign supreme. "Welcome, everyone," she began, projecting her voice as the weight of their gaze pushed against her. "Today, we're going to explore the power of collaboration in engineering. She could feel the tingling in her fingers that betrayed her nervousness, but she pressed forward. This was her opportunity to validate her vision, to stand firm in her beliefs against the conflicting tide that as Mia moved through her interactive activities. She noticed how the energy in the room shifted, blossoming from hesitant whispers to thoughtful discussions. Pairing up for brainstorming sessions, students articulated their own ideas while pulling bits from her framework. That exchange filled her with a fierce determination. The seeds she had planted were beginning to sprout, but as the chatter swelled, so did her anxiety. Bella's smirk from the back of the room felt like an invitation to disrupt, to derail the momentum Mia had painstakingly built. Would she challenge Mia in front of everyone? A knot tightened in her stomach. If she truly embodied the leader she wanted to be, she could not shy away from confrontation. Deciding in that instant, she invited feedback. Does anyone have questions, or challenges to what we're discussing? She hoped her steady tone masked the tumult within. Bella raised an eyebrow, clearly relishing the chance to lambaste. This all sounds lovely, Mia, but what if collaboration just leads to chaos? Her words dripped with skepticism. What if everyone's great ideas drown out the innovation that's supposed to shine through? The room quivered with tension, all eyes now fixated on Mia, awaiting her response. She took a deep breath, channeling all the preparation and resolve she'd nurtured. Bella, I appreciate your concern. But chaos is more about how we manage our processes than the ideas themselves. Every innovation often comes from a messy, collaborative dialogue. Wouldn't you agree that the best solutions emerge when diverse voices are heard? Bella leaned back, crossing her arms, but the room felt charged with Mia's conviction. The perfectly calculated risk had led to a game-changing moment. Creating structure within chaos is our responsibility as engineers, Mia continued, her pulse still racing but steadied by a newfound confidence. Rather than silencing voices, we need to leverage them. Your caution matters, but so does taking the leap to innovate together. The energy in the room shifted again, students nodding in agreement, a hint of admiration surfacing in their expressions. It sparked a constructive back and forth, a volley of ideas and critiques that took her workshop firmly off the ground. As the session progressed, she noted how her peers not only engaged with her framework but began to tease out additional layers, deepening the understanding of collaboration in ways she hadn't fully envisioned. Ideas flowed, and doubts started to crumble under the weight of shared enthusiasm, but in the back of her mind, the shadow of Bella lingered, sharp and calculating. Even amidst this success, Mia could feel the gleam of judgment lurking, reminding her of the journey still ahead. Had she truly transformed the narrative, or merely postponed the inevitable? Would she be able to hold her ground in the rigors of an engineering career that demanded compounded confidence? After the workshop concluded, as applause rang out, Mia stood tall yet introspective. With each compliment received, a flicker of tension breathed within her, battling the fear of her vulnerabilities being exposed once more. Was this triumph just an isolated moment, or could she harness it to face whatever came next with resilience? Mia felt a shift within a revelation. This workshop wasn't just about collaboration, it was about her burgeoning leadership and the promise of transformational potential within her reach. She was not defined by Bella's skepticism but rather her own determination to advance, but as she gathered her materials, thinking of the next steps she could take to further develop her vision, a chilling thought crossed her mind. Had she genuinely earned the respect of her peers, or was she one failure away from losing it all? A darker premonition nagged at her, the real trial was only beginning, and the stakes were about to rise. Stepping off the stage, she noticed Bella lingering nearby. It was a crucial moment, the poised opponent finally choosing to confront her directly. The tension between them simmered, and Mia felt something unfurl inside her. This was not over. Would she be ready for the test that loomed ahead? With each heartbeat, Mia felt the adrenaline coursing through her, mixing exhilaration with apprehension as she prepared for the final chapter of her journey. The workshop had been a success on many levels, fostering open dialogue, creating connections, and igniting conversations around collaboration in engineering. The overwhelming response from her classmates had ignited a flicker of hope, but Bella's lingering presence had shrouded that brilliance in doubt. Days passed since the event, and Mia dove headfirst into refining her project, pouring herself into every detail. She transformed initial feedback into actionable strategies, propelling her vision into the next phase of implementation. No longer was she just an engineering student yearning for acceptance, she had become a catalyst for change, challenging the narratives that seemed ingrained within her peers. Determined to sustain the momentum, Mia organized smaller focus groups, inviting students from different backgrounds to join her. The collaborative conversations unfolded like a symphony of ideas, each note resonating with the collective desire to reshape their school culture. The supportive camaraderie built a shield against the remnants of doubt that Bella's earlier taunts still attempted to penetrate, yet, the pressure of keeping that momentum alive was daunting. As she prepared for the final presentation of her project to the school administration, a flutter of anxiety crept back in. This would not only be a chance to validate her work but also to earn acknowledgement as a leader who could pave a new path in a competitive environment. The day arrived, and as she stood before a panel of teachers and administrators, she felt their gaze dissecting her every move. This time, however, Mia drew strength from the success of her previous workshop and the encouragement she had received. I am here to present a project that embodies the very essence of innovation, collaboration, and empathy, she began, projecting her voice with solid confidence. The presentation unfolded seamlessly, detailing the intricacies of her platform, showcasing student testimonials, and demonstrating the palpable impact her initiative had already sparked within the community. With each slide, Mia reflected on her growth, from a timid student plagued by insecurities to a determined advocate equipped to challenge outdated paradigms. As the presentation concluded, Mia looked up to see the panel nodding appreciatively. The culmination of her efforts had resonated, and she felt a wave of validation wash over her. This was her moment. But the nagging shadow of Bella loomed again, pushing her to question if this acceptance would withstand taking on greater challenges. "Thanks, Mia," one of the administrators said, breaking her reverie. "We'll be implementing your program as part of our new initiatives. Your voice has been extremely important in addressing the issues circulating in our school culture." Mia's heart soared. The approval was definitive, a tangible recognition of her dedication and resilience. She had not only proven her worth but established herself as an essential part of the future narrative they would craft together. As she stepped out of that meeting, she felt lighter. Her anxiety had transformed into a profound sense of accomplishment. This was no simple victory, it was the embodiment of her journey from isolation to an empowered self-advocate, one whose story would inspire others to embrace their differences. Later that evening, at home, Mia shared the news with her mother, whose face radiated pride. "You've done incredibly well, Mia. You've grown beyond what anyone could expect," her mother praised. "Thank you, Mom," Mia replied, a genuine smile unfurling across her face. "But this is just the beginning. I want to continue to inspire others to find their voices and share their stories." With that profound realization, Mia understood that her journey was not just about her personal triumph, it was about the many students who felt unseen and unheard. Her initiative was a bridge, a pathway for authenticity and connection. As night fell, her thoughts churned with excitement about the future. Each challenge she had faced became a stepping stone to her development, shaping her into a well-rounded individual capable of influencing change. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. When she opened it, she was greeted by her classmates who had come to celebrate. "You changed everything, Mia," Daniel exclaimed, his energy infectious. In that moment, as laughter mixed with memories of doubts and hurdles, she felt the final pieces of her transformation align perfectly. Bella may have started as an antagonist in her story, but Mia had flipped the script, emerging not only as an advocate but as a beacon of empowerment for others. Mia Ramirez had conquered her fears, built her project, and established a foundation where collaboration thrived. She was not just the adopted daughter of a celebrity, she was Mia, a leader, a dreamer, an engineer ready to forge her path. Her heart swelled with the fervor of what lay ahead. This victory didn't just define her, she could inspire others, build bridges where barriers had once stood, and realize her aspiration to engineer a landscape of empathy in her world. Now was her time to shine. If you found Mia's journey inspiring, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for stories of triumph and resilience. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help more people discover these incredible narratives. Don't wait even one more second, comment your thoughts about Mia's transformation and how it has inspired you. And remember to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Together, let us spread the message of empowerment and individuality.